Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. We're going to take a look at a game today that I bought last year called Robin Hood and the Merry Men. It's a game for 1 to 5 players, and it involves you acting in the capacity of one of the heroes of the famous story of Robin Hood. Even Robin Hood you could play. In this game, you have a variety of merry men, all of which will do your nominal bidding and do fun little light merriment things such as, well, pickpocketing and collecting resources, etc., etc. Then you, as the hero, get to dive in with your greatness of heroicism and do even more powerful actions. You do this for 5 rounds, and then somebody's a winner. Now, the game is semi cooperative, with also the option of a fully cooperative mode and also a very independent solo mode. So, what do we think of Robin Hood? Will we live to tell the tale? I sure would like to know. So, let's get to it. Okay, let's take a look at the board for Robin Hood. You will see the lush board greatly detailed. And in it, then you will see the 5 heroes, one of which you will play, except in solo when you play all 5. You also have each player's tableau, and in their area they'll have traps, barricades, merry men, resources. Everything you need to know is on that board. The traps and barricades will be placed onto the board over time as they're built. In the board itself, you have the castle in the middle, and it has various areas within it to pickpocket, to hide out in. You've got a jail where you'll rescue people, and then you have the villains that will go over the map and be creating mayhem and chaos for you, mighty Robin Hoods. Also, we have roads. The roads are where the caravans will travel up into the city, where they will be taxed or robbed if you can pull that off. Um, yeah, so we can see around there. Then you'll have resource areas there, and each of the resource areas is where you can place your merry men to be able to collect and gather resources of a given type, which you'll then use to build roads and do crazy amazing things. Um, Over here, we have other places where your merrymen can be placed. This is where you will procure combat dice, which will then be used in the hero phase. Then you also have an area where you can build traps and or barricades using different resources that you collect. In this area, you also have a place to send off your warriors to fight. Here we have the tax area. When the carriages get into the city or they are robbed, they go there in that area. And this is the honor track. As you gain in honor, all of the things you do will have more victory points in the end. And finally, up here, if you want to send one of your workers off to help in the Crusades, you pay the resources and do that. The merriment is gone forever. And then we have these cards and these bags that are for gameplay purposes. And finally, we have all the different resources
All right,
and
well,
skill
we're going to
die,
start off
etc.,
in
that will be
round
used.
two rather than round one, so we can give you a bit of the game state in progress. I have built one barricade, which I hope will allow me to keep this from going in and getting taxed, this carriage. And whenever this is robbed, your victory points for people who have barricades up on there. You'll notice that there are a lot of guards now. There's some guards all the way in this area, so this wouldn't be a place that you could go do anything interesting with because it's blocked off. You can, however, in all these other resource gathering places, you'll see the guard level is around 1 or 2 guards. We also have this objective at the end of the round, which if I manage to capture a guard, I can turn one of those guards in for 3 victory points, and I can also turn a second one in for 2 coins. So the first stage is now granted this is the solo game, and so in a normal semi co-op you would get one of these per player. In the solo game, you take advantage of all of these, but you can only use 2 every round, and then they have to rest for a turn. So in the first round, I used Jane Fortune and Will Scarlet. They are flipped over. They're not available, so I will have to use, during my hero phase, 2 different heroes. Also, you're allowed to have 6 of these cards, and these are really what fuel your merry men to be able to do good deeds to help your hero. With that, we get started, and the first thing we do is, in any game, is you use one of your merrymen in the hideout. Now you also get 5. You get extra in the solo play. So what am I going to do? Well, right now, if you'll see that we've got a pretty full coinage there, a little lower coinage there and there, but okay there. So what I want to do is continue to keep those resources up, because if any of these are depleted, the game is over. We're doing okay on the guard track yet. We don't have any surplus guards, but in the last round you'll notice that two of these carriages made it through to be into the city, and that was not good. And then I robbed one, which is why it's placed on its side. It contributes to a possible tax explosion, but in the meantime, because I captured it, I get a free coin, or that's how the first round ended. So now we have our merrymen. What will our merrymen do? You have to choose based on the cards that you're going to play. Now there's a passive and an active side. If you play the card on the active side, you will take advantage of the bonuses down here. And that's the only way you can take advantage of these bonuses. Some of these bonuses are simple. If you take the action in the center courtyard, then you have a bonus here, which I forget and will look up. Here, I do remember, if I use this bonus and place this on the active side, and once they're used, they're over. You don't get victory points at the end of the game for them like you would your passive cards. But you would get an opportunity to do one of these two things. This is building. You would build a trap. And to build a trap, you would look for whichever place you're going to build it on in any of these six resource gathering areas. And then you would also get an advantage of having a 1 resource discount. So you could pick any resource and pay 1 less of that. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to play this in our active area. We're going to take one of our merrymen and we are going to build. What are we going to build? Well, we can build a trap. And I'm going to build a trap on the, in the weapon area, right there. So I'm going to place that there. It costs me 2 ore and 1 wood, but I can pay 1 less. So I'm going to pay 1 wood. Actually, I'm going to pay 2 wood, and I'm going to ditch the, or 2 ore, and I'm going to ditch the wood. I don't have to pay the wood. Let's put those in the right spot. Now I can place a trap here. That's good. So now, if guards were to come in there, they would get trapped. Yay, trapping is good. We trapped a guard. Okay, and that's it. Once again, this is the single player game, so I don't have to worry about anybody else's turn. This card is used up. You will not see it again. Now we have a second choice. And the second choice, we could use passive side. Now some of these are not, you get 0 victory points for this, but you do get points for having sets of the same card in your passive area. So if you have this fine lady here in multiple places in your passive side of your tableau at the end of the game, you're going to get victory points, little surplus victory points, just little eking ways to get victory points. Here, we're going to be able to say, hey, if I use the square, the problem is that that's all booked up. And I'm not happy about that, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, I am going to, I'm going to use this, and later I'm going to set it up as a passive, right there. So now I have 3 of the 6 possible passive cards, and then I can just use this in the common area of any of the resource gathering boards. So I'm going to do that, and I am going to put it right here, which lets me have a wood. So I now have a wood resource right there. Wouldn't you know it? All right. Then we look again. What are we going to do? We're going to take this. Do we build another trap? Yes, we do. We're going to build another trap. And how we're going to do that is we are going to place that there, and we're going to build another trap. Now, what do we have the resource for to build? Well, notice again that card gives us a -1 discount, so we're going to be saving some money here. And I'm not saying all these moves are optimal, I'm just showing you some of how it works. So, the woodshed, 3 wood, guess what? We're going to go, actually, we're going to go here, and we're going to pay 2 wood, not 3 wood, because we don't have to. And then we're going to build yet another trap. And this time we're going to build it here. There we go. So we got some traps going. This is going to be a nice way to capture some of those bad guys. All right, that done. Now we're down to 2 meeples left that we can choose from and 3 cards, which is nice. So we're going to do this. Allows us to build, and I think we have enough. Yes, we do. And we're going to use this secondary action to build a barrier. And to build a barrier, we're going to build it in the south, and it's going to cost us 1 less resource than required. 2 wood, 1 ore, 1 coin. So we're going to do 1 wood, 1 ore, and 1 coin. There you go. And now we've built that. So now we have the potential to be able to score some points whenever those carriages get through, which, wow, we should have replaced one. We have a carriage missing. We cannot have a carriage missing. Carriages must not be missing. There we go. There you go, you little... Alright, so that's that. And finally, we need more resources. We're a little low on wood. So we can just use this as a passive action, which means we don't get to use its special ability. Oh, did I? I forget to put that there. I did. Okay. Sorry, there. All right, and then finally, we're going to do this and put it in the wood area where we can get wood. We're going to put it in the nearest free spot there. And oh, so we're not. We're going to put it here. It's a passive action. We don't get to use the hideouts with passive actions. We just stick it in the square and we say, what do I get? I get 1 wood. Yay! Look at that. So now we have wood. And that's the end of the Merriman phase. So all of that's done. We have chosen to use them all into the best of our abilities, and now it's time for the heroes to alight and to do amazing things in the name of Robin Hood and taxes and stuff. Okay, our 2 heroes are next. In the solo game, we are going to choose, first off, we'd use a villain card. We draft 4 dice, so we get to pick our 4. I could have gone up here and grabbed additional dice, but in this case, I'm just going to grab 4. I'm looking for things I'm going to attack. Looking for areas I'm going to attack, and then looking at the dice that are going to be related to the ability to attack these areas. For example, I probably will want to attack guards here, so I'm going to take these 2 at the very least, because I'd like to clear that up. And then, if I want to do anything else, I want to roll. If I want to roll to get a one of these carriages, I want pink, so I'm going to take pink. I need at least 2 to roll to try and steal. Alright, so that's what we've done. Then we're going to take a villain card and we're going to resolve a villain card. Special custom cards for solo play. So the first thing we do is we're going to add a guard to these 2 areas. So we're going to add a guard to the blacksmith area and the wood area. So, guards! The blacksmith area. So here's the wood area. I'm going to place that there. And the blacksmith area is right here. Ha-ha! Zap. Captured. I love it. He's captured. That's great. That increases my fame, too. Or my notoriety, which I've moved up over there. So there we go. We've captured it. And I believe the rules are... Well, I'm going to leave that there just for a second. But it's captured because I'm going to go over the rest of the card. Then we're looking, Guy Gisborne is going to the west. So we're going to place him in the western road. So Guy is going to the western road. God. So the western road is here. Darn it. And I believe the guy, when he gets there, always destroys a barrier. And if that's true, that's sadness. Sadness for all our efforts. And then, finally, we have the carriages make their run on the south and the north. So what does that mean? Well, here's the south, and it's going to make a run, but I blocked it. Now, if I hadn't blocked it, it would jump over here and go all the way in. But now I blocked it. I staved it off for another turn, giving me a chance to rob it. As for the north, well, that's Unfortunately. So that is gone. And that goes here, which is going to get us closer to attack surge. And we replace it with yet another carriage. This time orange. All right. We have completed this card. And now we can go to our hero phase, where we actually activate the heroes. So to clarify the last point, these, when I capture from a trap, it goes into my hideout, and I will use that at the end of the round to be able to collect that bonus tiles bonus for capturing guards. So we're done with the villains phase. Now we go into the hero phase. And we're going to pick two and do two actions with these. I'm going to do Maid Marian and Robin Hood. Robin Hood can re-roll a dice if he's going to be part of an archery competition. Or if he's going to try to break someone out from prison. And Maid Marian she doesn't actually have to pay a penalty if any of the villains are in a spot she wants to go to. So we're going to start here, and we are going to try and capture. We're going to try and rob. Rob that. Now we're going to roll. We have to roll a minimum of 2 dice, and it has to be the color of the carriage. If we get any successes, and we get 1 success, which is sufficient, then we have robbed that carriage. We take it off, we place it sideways down, and we get the bonus, which is 1 coin and 1 resource of our choice. So I'm going to take 1 coin, and I'm going to take 1 resource of my choice, and that's going to be, I'm going to take iron, and that goes into our tableau, our lair of lairs. And these are done, so these go back, because once you've successfully done them, then you win, and they have to go back. So then we have a second action that we can take, and there are quite a few options that we can do, but in general, you can rob carriages, fight guards, break out prisoners. If we don't have any prisoners yet, we can play archery, purchase weapons. If we wanted to purchase weapons to kind of have available for maybe a second action, but that'd be silly as a second action. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to try to fight some guards. Or are we? Are we going to do that with Maid Marian? No, we are not. We are not going to do that because we want to use Brave Sir Robin for that. So, in that case, we are going to... why not? We're going to go here. And we're going to do let's have her do the archery test too. It's three dice. 3 dice and 1 success. 3 successes, okay. So Maid Marian has definitely won the first prize, and we're going to just keep track of that with a coin. Now she's going to roll 3 dice, and she needs 2 successes. And we got our 2 successes. So once again, she gets another coin. So if she gets all 3 successes, not even close. So in this case, she wins 2 coins, so I get 2 coins, which are going to be handy later. And she is done, so we're going to just leave her there, not worry about it for now. And now it's Robin Hood's turn. Robin Hood wants to take out another guard, so he's going to go here, and he's going to fight one of these guards. And how's he going to do it? He's going to roll, well, is he going to do that? No, he's going to go up here instead, because he got these dice for a reason. Did he not? Or did I actually... Was I colorblind? I believe I was. Alright, well, we're going to risk it. We're going to risk it by rolling this. And we did. We got a hit. Yay! So this guard is captured, placed over there. That's good. And then gain 1 PP. If I didn't rescue anybody, I do gain a reputation. So that's nice. And, oh, by the way, you don't gain a reputation for the traps. So I was a liar. Alright, so that's done. And then finally, let's go ahead and have him try again. Let's have him go here. I should have actually, in a smart man's move, I would have tried to clear out those havens, because if you clear out all the bandits in an area, you get the bonus resource of that area. So instead, we're going to try here. Can I do it? Man, I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. Alright, so I'm done. So I have done my 2 actions. I have used up my dice. I have captured my guards. These go back, and like I said, we're gonna move those down and move these back up for the next round to be able to be used. And that is the end of the hero turn. Now, at the end of the round, any prisoners that were stuck would advance down to the farther level of the dungeon. Sadness. We would place arrested merry men in prison if they were out, which we don't have any right there. We would return villains back to their area, so back they go there. And then, if necessary, we would transfer merry men to hideout, which we are going to. So all of these guys go back to their hideouts. Yay! 1, 2, 3. I'm missing some. 4, 5. There we go. 4, 5. Notice that because I built some things, I built a barrier and a trap. Every round now I'm going to get a coin and a resource of my choice. So that's another reason why you'd want to try and build as many of these as you could, because it's going to help you in the later half of the game. Discard the active merryman cards if I want to. I don't... Oh, these I discard. I've used them up. They're no longer valuable. Goodbye. And then I refill my hand to 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could choose not to keep the one that I had, or I could choose to keep it. So I choose to keep it. And then finally, we replace the ransom tile. Of course, I can use that. So basically, I have 3 prisoners here. And I'm going to use 1 to give myself 3 victory points. Doom, doom, doom. And another one to get 2 coins. So I have a lot of coins here. That's actually going to be helpful later on. Notice when I build, if I build anything that requires coins, one of the things I didn't remember is that unlike resources which go back, coins can go on top of a stack. I do think I built something with coins, did I not? Well, if I did, I should have placed it on one of these stacks, and that's one of the rare ways to refresh the stacks, because once any of those are gone, it's over with. And that's basically, we're at the point where we're done with this full round. The rounds are 5 rounds. The rounds that I showed you, where you have the merryman phase, and then you have the Robin Hood phase, which involves both the villain card and moving your heroes, and then manipulating all the places of the board. We didn't get into we didn't have anybody get captured and such, but the idea is similar. You're gonna roll. You're gonna use the iconography on the board that kind of tells you what you can do when it's time to rescue prisoners. You can trade in distraction tokens for skill dice, and then you will use those skill dice to try and rescue your prisoners from the jail, etc. And we did do an example of an archery test. I don't know if we did robbing. We did the cart carriages, and as they are basically flowing in. Darn it. There you go. Brown. Haven't seen that one before. And that's generally the game. It's basically that 5 times over, and at the end of the game, you count up your score. Now, there are 5 different scenarios for single player, and the very first one is simply play the game through using the solo rules, and if you get 130 points, 130 points, then you win, which I don't think I've gotten close to that, especially if I'm distracted playing and not paying attention. But there we go. So let's get into my final thoughts of Robin Hood and the Merry Men.
Okay, let's talk final thoughts on Robin Hood, and the Merry Men. Now, we'll go over as usual the cons first. The cons are, I wouldn't say this game is fiddling, but I would say that it's more sprawling in places than it probably needed to be. There are certain things that just seem like they don't necessarily need to be there. For example, the different costs for each different location for a trap or a barrier just seemed like it was an odd thing, and it seems like it was meant to fit the game to its needs rather than its needs to the game. And then the iconography is subtle. It's not entirely it's fairly consistent. It is, but it does take a bit of looking at to kind of understand at a glance what to do. And there are some lingering questions I have. For example, why do you have to put your worker where it's most likely to be captured? When you're putting it in a hideout, you're putting it in the same. You have to put it in an order, in the same order. Maybe it's just to go like, okay, it's. I get some of the tension, but Why not just be able to say, I want to put it in the place that's least likely. I want to make a strategic or a tactical choice. I want to make a smart choice. Here I'm making a lucky choice. I hope that card that comes up isn't the one that just basically captures him. Whatever. Why do sometimes coins go on the road and other the coins go on the roads. Other times they don't, based on different rules. Whatever. Why in some activities you win as you go, and in other ones it's sort of a risk-reward thing. It's not that they're bad, and maybe there's a good thing to say that there's little inconsistencies because each little almost mini game is kind of its own rule set. But on the other hand, I do think that there's a place for consistency. Why no premonition? I do wish that there were ways to sort of predict or detect that certain things are coming up so that you could plan for them. In this case, you will build barriers and whatever, but you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if the wheel of fortune will turn and just happen to take it out that same day. I mean, if your mindset is that, yeah, okay, you're risking it and see what happens. But it is also nice to be able to go, you know what, there's a better than average chance that this is where the guy is going to show up and and remove one of your barriers on a road or etc. It would have been nice to have had some sort of facility to be able to plan ahead, I guess. As far as semi-co-ops go, this is not in the upper echelon. It's not entirely infeasible. I mean, if you've watched the more recent Robin Hoods from the BBC network, you see that there's infighting among the merry men. They're not as merry as they might first appear. So it's not infeasible that you have these sort of like tension elements, but it is a little weird to be able to be on the same team but trying to be like yourself, be better than everyone else on your team. Okay. I don't know. It was a harder sell to me than some other semi co-ops. I don't think anyone's going to dethrone Archipelago as far as semi co-ops, and even then, I still think you're on shaky ground trying to pull off a semi co-op in general. But good on them for trying. The rulebook was full of information. It was in a structure that did not lend well for easy adoption. That's one of the reasons why I'm reviewing it now and not reviewing it when I bought it last year. The other thing is it's a little odd of a split in the game flow to have merrymen and heroes in an entirely separate sequence. It took some double take learning because you've got these rules and sometimes they overlap on what the merrymen can do, what the heroes can do. It's kind of overlap, not really. But it's not bad, and it's not even really out of place. It's just kind of a jarring, unfamiliar mechanism of splitting that it took me a bit to get used to. Once you do, then you can get involved, and you can get into it, and you can sort of see some coolness that goes along with it. So since we're already getting positive again, let's go right to the pros. Now, stylistically, this is the best of the Robin Hood games that I've seen yet. As far as artwork, all of the pieces and components. The board is rich with detail, iconic, memorable locations, the castle, the forest, etc. The main area of the castle is just bristling with potential pickpocket opportunities you can even see on the board. The roads to the city all line up in this sort of nice old style, almost Disney Robin Hood kind of feel and look. The cards, your top-notch representation, well done, of familiar characters, and the special abilities are thematically delicious. Now, pacing is something that I do think this game did a good job at. As the turns transpire, it does lend to the feeling that you're being in sort of a cloak and dagger race against the crown to hold off, stave off, take advantage of, maximize opportunities. It really masks quite deeply that at the end this is just a resource battle. But I think it's really, really good at the pacing. There's a sprawling list of opportunities to make a difference in this game for you and even others to your benefit. You can fight. You can compete, you can rescue, you can go on the crusades, you can rob, you can even do charity work. See a need, fill a need, or don't see a need, make a need. Everything helps, but something helps more than others. 2 helps bad, 4 helps better, Orwellian. The other thing is the thematic cohesion is strong. Robbing is the low-hanging fruit, and that's represented. You rob people, that's what you do. The balance of taxing too much is also an interesting mechanism to causing repercussions. Yes, you can rob wagons that are coming in, but it's still adding to that threshold where you're going to get a tax explosion, and that's going to mess with you. And so you do have to be strategic and not just rob everything that comes in sight to grab cash. The timing of when to send your merry men to help the king in the Mideast Crusades, that's a big deal too, because once you send them off, they're gone, and that's one less resource you have. Now, I didn't find myself starved too much of merry men, but it is something to consider. It's a timing issue. Trap setting and barriers are an ingenious way to make do with what you've got. Like, I've got these resources, I'm going to set these traps, I'm going to make these barriers, because each one of these is going to help me. Either it's going to help me get points now, help me get points later. That's really good. Rescuing people from prison feels incredibly thematic, especially that Robin Hood has a little advantage in that one. When you go in and you distract the guards and you give them some nice brew, and then you try to just rescue the prisoners that are in there. You get points, people get their merrymen back. Everybody's a winner. All in all, it adds just sort of this relatable life tying your actions, like you're in it, you're in Sherwood, you're in the forest, you're coming up with these crazy sort of interrupted, like, attacks from nowhere kind of thing to tie your actions to the world of Sherwood and Robin and Britain and kings and wars and corruption, etc. And finally, the sense of adventure in regard to the risk and reward in both the Merryman and the Hero phase. In the Merryman, you have small things you do that pay back dividends over time. You're collecting resources, but you're building traps and you're building things, and doing that is going to help you because it's going to give you resources that are exposed every turn. So the Merrymen do make a small sort of like ant level contribution, and if there's enough of them, they'll make varying contributions. And then your heroes come in, and your heroes, when it's the hero turn, you really do feel heroic because these are big actions. These are bigger things. You're going to fight. You're going to take out guards. You're going to rescue people from prison. And this sort of like triumphant heroic phase ends in. And I think it blends beautifully. And you do that 5 times. And that's the game. So difficulty feels pretty right overall. It is tricky. There is luck impact. It definitely has. There's no lying to you. Luck will have an impact. You will just, there you go. Yeah. And, planning anything for longer than a half a turn is going to be at a premium. But it's still overall a feeling of a sweeping journey in an adventure across a kingdom larger than the board makes it seem. And so final thoughts. In summary, Robin Hood and the Merry Men, now turned up for your convenience. It's kind of a promise of a V8 engine that ends up being a V6. Even though I have a lot of positives, thematically, it does serviceable to above serviceable justice to the lore and the legend. It does feel like you took Stone Age and then added Shadows of Brimstone and melded their minds to create this sort of offspring. And honestly, solo is probably my favorite way to play it because you have a little extra advantages. The board's yours to command. You've got all the heroes at your disposal every other turn and such. Yeah, it's just, otherwise the semi-co-op was not really it was okay, but it was like, I could have done with it being one or the other, either co-op or not co-op. And, it just creates less fickle friendship moments in a tepid gaming framework. That's not sufficient. So, but solo's fine. It does feel like you're telling a story here. It does feel like you're immersed in the myth and the legend of Robin Hood and making a living sort of legendary at the game. It's still, though, I still pine for a good Robin Hood game, like a rich Robin Hood living tale legend game, a game that takes everything and makes me feel like I'm in Sherwood Forest. This goes a good step of the way, but I would love to someday see, and maybe others have some suggestions on good Robin Hood games, because I haven't seen one yet. I'd love to have something sort of like a Legends of Andor, almost RPG, Legacy, something that really just gets involved with Robin Hood, which I think is still an untapped market after all these years, and something that just, I don't know, we'll see, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this is a B+ game. It is, and if you live in a world of A-only games, you'll probably want to pass it by. It's probably not that compelling to keep it, but it's by no means bad. And in fact, it's, for solo play alone, a keeper, because I actually would consider it a lengthy filler in a lot of ways to be able to pass the time, play a game, and feel like you had a fun little adventure. So Robin Hood and the Merry Men, not quite, good grief, not quite the seal of approval it may have wanted, but definitely something that I think anyone, given the opportunity, should try. So that's it, and we will see you next time on Harebrained Games.